Hey, so I guess I'm going to tell you about how to build a composting toilet using an actual toilet. I wanted to figure out how I could do some sort of composting toilet that would be really cost effective and be very easy to build and maintain. This is known as a vermacomposting or vermacomposting system. So what we've got is the toilet, which you just saw. So then an IBC tank over here. Inside the tank, we've got a layer of rock that's made from the limestone chunks that are in this part of Texas. That's about 8 to 12 inches tall, and those are all big chunks of limestone. On top of that limestone, we've got a layer of aluminum screen. And then on top of that aluminum screen, we have 18 inches or so of soil. That's a mix of soil from right here with all the cedar decomp, and then organic potting soil that I picked up. Within that, there's a colony of red wiggler worms. Those red wiggler worms eat the poop. The liquid waste is continuously filtered down through the layer of soil, washed away with the water, the flushing of the actual real toilet, so that there's never a buildup of liquid and solid waste, which is the problem with composting toilets in general, because they end up mixing and ends up smelling like we all expect, which is like a bathroom that's never been cleaned or have never had the toilet flushed. So as long as the system stays aerobic and there's water flushing through, cleansing the soil, leaving the solid waste material in with the dirt, the worms just continue to consume the decomposing material, including the poop. And they lay their eggs. Their eggs populate through the system, and the system never smells. And then the liquid waste, so the pee and the water, drain slowly through the soil, then through the rock layer, and then drain out through a piece of PEX line that I've got. It's a 3/4 inch PEX line that's buried, going out to about 25 feet of 2.5 inch PVC in sort of a mesh with holes all over through it into what we have over here. What I've got over here, which is the gray water leach field. So all these plants that are growing here are actually being nourished from the water that's seeping down through the soil and then down through the rock as the worms are consuming the decomposing material and laying their eggs in the soil. So you've got worm castings and nutrient-rich water coming down and through here, and that's why we see so much growth right here as compared to around it where there's less growth. So this is always feeding these plants. This system never smells. I've got this one up, and this one's been running for 8 months, 9 months. What I do to maintain it is about every 3 months or so, I'll fill a feed bucket with decomposing material from the ground. So this is the material that I'm talking about. It's just decomposing cedar and whatever else is in this soil that I haven't added to it. I haven't done anything to it. I'm gonna take some of this, just drop it in there like that. And I just put the cover back on, like that. This is open to let airflow, but you don't want this to be sealed off. I want this cover to kind of blow around because I want air to constantly be moving in and out of this, along with the water flushing down through the soil and continually separating the solid waste and the liquid waste. The name of the game here is just kind of moisture. There's moisture content in there all the time, and then kind of maintaining control of the temperature. So you don't want to get too hot. That's why it's in the shade. That's why it has that cover over it. And you don't want it to get too cold because there's deep going on in there. It never is going to get too cold. In some other climates it might, but you can compensate for that with, covering it up, insulating it, whatever. I've got another one at another cabin that's been going for almost 4 years, and this one was started with a handful of worms from another colony, and now this colony is growing even more. I'm not suggesting that you just go and do this. You need to check with regulations. If I could just continue to use this, I would, and not spend the $15,000, $20,000 on a septic system. If I was going to have a permanent residence, I'd put in a real septic system and all that. So that's how this system works. And if you found this useful, if you want to see more from me on these sort of innovative off-grid things and the creativity and the hackery, then subscribe, please.